During this conversation, this reasonable faith apologetics panel, Lycona said to, because it was with William Lane Craig and Mark Middleburg, here's something Lycona said. Hey, Bill, I had an idea I'd like to run past you and see what you think. Of course, there's no perfect illustration, but let's suppose that I video record the Super Bowl and I know the end result. Now, when I go back and I watch the Super Bowl, each of the players had complete free will in what they were doing, and the coach, all right, let's punt it rather than going for the field goal for the Falcons at the end. Bill and I both live in the Atlanta area, so he knows what I'm talking about. So I know what they're going to do, but they had total free will in the process to make that. But I knew before I watched it on the DVR, I knew what they were going to do. So just having foreknowledge of what they're going to do doesn't impact the fact that they had free will. Now, we've all heard this one before. This is nothing new. This is not some groundbreaking concept. And Craig's response is, I think that's right, Mike. Knowledge isn't a causal factor in this, is it? Both of them, on a theological level, just face-planted. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. This is face-plantingly bad. Why? Because they just drew a direct parallel between God's knowledge and man's knowledge. They knew what was going to happen because it happened in the past. They had come into knowledge of what happened in the past and were then simply watching a recording of what happened in the past. So you're actually going to parallel that with God. So God comes to find out what men are going to do. And that basically God's interaction with history is like God watching the DVR of the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. You really want to go there? That's not even Molinism. That's not even the Molinist. Even Molina had a much higher view of God's sovereignty and his knowledge than is presented in that. It's bad. But you are stuck with a God who created. Now, and this is why Craig should have said, no, not even close, because as a Molinist, that doesn't work. Throw it out. But he didn't, so there you go. But God created, and he creates all the possibilities of these things happening and all the evil and everything else. But then he comes to know what's going to happen, just as you came to know what was going to happen in the Super Bowl, even though the reality had already taken place. And then you reduce history to mankind simply doing what God already has foreknowledge they're going to do, but it's something God learned. There's no sovereignty there. There's no reason whatsoever for God to be glorified for any, because there's no interaction. See, you could not interact as you're watching the Super Bowl with what's going on the screen. You could not try to call the coach. It's too late. You can't reach that guy's cell phone to tell him what's going to happen in the future. You can't. God could not change anything. History and the future is a fixed reality, and it was not fixed by God's decree in any way, shape, or form. And so you really want to make that a parallel. That's, wow. Really, really, really bad. No, that's not how God knows future events.